Today I'll be discussing the truth about Nike's fastest running shoe, the Alphafly Next Percent. Hey, what's poppin'? Jordan Thomas here. Want to give you a little bit of context just so we're on the same page. A version very similar to these was worn by Eliud Kipchoge in running the fastest ever recorded marathon. And in the Ultimate Flex, Nike made these shoes available to all athletes who participate in the US Olympic trials. And although there was a limited release back in February, they had not been available to the public until now. On July 2nd, I got the notification, like so many of you, that the shoes are now available, and I was excited. I was feeling good about my chances to get the shoe. I jumped on the app, put in my information, and was waiting. And then I got a message that said, there's a problem with my payment information. I began frantically re-entering my information, only to find that my size was no longer available, and I missed. So I went ahead and hit the secondary market, paid a premium over the already high $250, and that is how I ended up with the shoes. And so since I paid so much more for this shoe, then I am extremely invested now in understanding how fast this shoe is, and ultimately, do I believe, is it worth it? Let's jump into the tech, because there's a lot to enjoy and dig into when it comes to this shoe. Let's begin with the upper. Constructed of atom knit, this takes advantage of the fly knit technology, except it is thinner and it is stronger. You've got this lacing system that's still somewhat asymmetrical. You've got these nice tips on the overall laces, and you've got double pull tabs. One of the things that I also like about the overall atom knit is that it's reinforced not only in the heel, but as well as the toe. Now let's move on to the outsole. This is where a lot of the magic in this shoe is happening. You've got this big chunk of ZoomX in the back with a little bit of rubber along the outsole. It's just painted over, but mostly exposed foam. High level of compression, but nice level of bounce off of it. It flows in and like ramps down, and then you've got the exposed Nike fly plate. I thought it was cool they went ahead and branded it. Then you've got this blown out rubber. I learned from Tiffany Beers' channel that this is actually a very light way to get a good level of traction, but allow for a larger surface area to do what? Sandwich in these beautiful Air Zoom Pods. Air Zoom Pods were introduced way back in the 80s, and they've never been available in a running shoe. And so Nike not only made this available in their running shoe, but they doubled down on it by making two of these available. One of the other things I learned from UK Wired is that these Zoom Pods are customized to the size of the shoe. And so if you have a larger foot, you're going to have a bigger Zoom Pod available. Eliud was instrumental in giving feedback to Nike and explained why absorption was so important to him. And it was Nike that came back to him and let him know that using a pod would allow for more absorption, which would also lead to more cushioning, more protection, more energy return. So it's like they took the advantage of ZoomX, took the advantage of Zoom Air, made them both available, and now you've got this like super shoe. And it's still kind of like sandwiched or like cut out, and then you've got some more ZoomX as you get into the overall toe area. All in all, you've got all these premium materials, all these fast elements. You've got this high level innovation with these premium type materials. But the question I was left with was, how does it perform when I actually get it out for a run? I jammed out over a few different sessions and want to feature some of the highlights that I have. Beginning with easy run. I wanted to go and keep the pace pretty chill for the first run out, and one of the things that I noticed is that this shoe felt like an elevated racing flat. Despite the stack height, I felt like I had a good level of grounding on the shoe. Now, one thing I would mention is if you've never worn a 4mm offset shoe, please, please, please go try it out. It does force you to run a little bit differently. It certainly puts more emphasis on running on your forefoot. And I know when I went out for the first run, it took me a moment to kind of like get used to running like that for a shoe that I perceived to be something that I would run long in. What's the point of owning a fast shoe if you never run fast in it? I went ahead and took the shoe out to the track for a 1600 meter ladder session. Began the session running a sub 6 mile, and then with each rep, I got faster and faster until I got down to below 4 minutes and 34 seconds per mile pace. With each rep, not only was I getting faster, but I began to just feel like more aggressive in the shoe. And I walked away feeling like, yo, like This shoe to me is actually faster than the Vaporfly because I couldn't hit those type of speeds in that shoe. And I think a lot of that I had to attribute to the fact that there was that offset as well as the zoom pods. Now, I also made sure to put in some work on that long run aspect because I know a lot of you are considering this shoe as like a half marathon, a marathon type effort type shoe. And so for the first long run that I went out for, I kept it around like 9 miles. I kept the pace pretty chill. I was surprised at how effortless running 8 minutes and 10 seconds per mile was for me. I did notice throughout the run though, the presence of the zoom pod, and to continually hit my forefoot in that area was a bit of a struggle for me. And as a matter of fact, I noticed some residual discomfort after I took the shoes off. And so that to me was kind of like a watch item. So I came back to the next week. This time I went with a more of a progressive type effort. That was a little bit just under 11 miles. And I noticed the Air Zoom Pod less during the run. Still felt that effortless feeling, worked my way down from like 8:45 to like 6 minutes and 40 seconds throughout the overall run. However, once again, after I took the shoes off, I did notice some of that discomfort again. I do recognize that some of that is going to be just attributed to the fact that I am not used to running on my forefoot for that long, but 2 runs in a row was kind of like, all right, I need to keep this in mind when I think about how I want to use this shoe. The truth is, this is the most innovative and fastest shoe that I've ever owned. Whether you are a PR chaser, a collector, a running enthusiast, there's a lot to love about this shoe. I can see you picking this shoe up for everything from a road mile to a fast marathon. For my running style, I'll definitely be using this in the 5K to a 10K. If I do some sort of fall mile, you might see me break these out for that. However, when it comes to a longer type effort, I would reach for something else when it comes like the half marathon, a marathon, certainly when it comes to just standard training type efforts. And that's because the combination of the lower offset and the residual impact of hitting the AirPod on a regular basis, it just isn't for me. Like if you want to stay within the Nike family, I would stick with the Vaporfly just because it just offers a bit more of a forgiving offset and I can be a little bit more loose and a little bit more chill with my pace. If you want to learn more about the Vaporfly Next Percent, check this out. And if you want to check out another video, check this out. I'll see you next time. Jordan Thomas, peace.